to UpStart Live. UpStart Live is a series of conversations, events, and sessions, online sessions that we do with startup founders, thought leaders, and other subject matter experts where we talk about various topics related to startups. UpStart Live is a part of PayU. So, PayU, as you all know, is one of the leading payment service providers. We are across sectors like airlines, SMBs, and of course, the startup community. Uh, Upstart sessions are our way of giving back to the community, and we bring in, like we mentioned previously, founders and subject matter experts. Today's topic is engaging consumers with audio, and who better than Binoy, who runs a company, audio marketing company called Spooler, to talk to you about that, right? So we just wanted to set the expectations right. We have a couple of questions for Binoy. He'll be answering that, and from there we will go on to talk more about. In case you have any questions, you can go there. So you can ask us, and then we will go on to talk more about audio marketing and podcasts as in specifically. So, a little bit about Binoy and his background before we go in. Binoy was a senior vice president and national creative director for Radio Cities FM and Digital Network in India for almost a decade. He was part of the core teams at Jagran Group and also as head video, and also has been a part of Radio Mirchi, Big FM, Indigo FM, and World Space Satellite Radio, which revolutionized the soundscape of audio content in India for over 2 decades. So you understand that he knows everything about audio marketing to be specific. So Spooler is a full service podcast production agency and an audio branding company from Bangalore. Uh, Binoy, instead of me telling this, I think you should be the one explaining what Spooler does. So over to you, Binoy. Once you get done with the introductions, I'll go on to the questions. But thank you so much for being a part of this. Reiterating to the audience, in case you have any questions around audio marketing or just podcast in general, please ask us. We have Binoy. Binoy will be answering these questions for you before we go in and before we end the session. So thank you so much, Binoy. Once again, welcome to the Upstart Live. Thank you so much for doing this with us. Over to you.
Thank you for having me over. Yeah, it's so. What does Spooler do? Spooler is a full-time audio production company. We specialize in podcast and audio branding. We're based out of Bangalore. We work with brands, businesses, and workplaces. We're revolutionizing the whole soundscape in terms of bringing content for consumers directly instead of doing a 30-second radio spot, and completely owning the content in the space through podcasts. All right, that's what we do. We currently work with brands and publishers across the country. We are about a 13-month-old company. Yeah, that's all about Spooler.
Thank you so much, Binoy. Okay, now going to go into the questions, right? Why audio marketing for brands? Like, why audio in specific when you're thinking about brands? Binoy, can you just answer that question?
So if you always look at audio, right? Audio was always, always associated with radio. And I mean, that's the way it was. And radio is all about music, and then you had ads. Then over years, it moved into doing some kind of integrations in audio, where the RJ would integrate the brand and all the drama that used to happen. But it was not really 100% genuine, because the fact being, you are marketing a product. So here comes a pure play of audio content, which can be created by brands themselves. You don't need, because in today, thanks to the data, thanks to the audio platforms that's available in the market, be it Spotify, Ghana, JioSaavn, it's all there. So while podcast is growing so hugely in our country, it's matter of time that brands associated in creating pure play branded content in the audio space, in their particular niche, because it's a audience that you don't want to miss out on. So create content with audio on these platforms, and it works beautifully for them.
Understood. I think that makes sense. Uh, what do you think should be the types of podcasts, and what is the duration? So everybody is doing a podcast these days, right? Including us. So what should be the type and what should be the duration according to you? From your years of experience, what do you suggest?
See, I see a lot of people saying, 15 is good, 30 is good, 1 hour is good. But the fact being, you need to understand what your objective is and who you're catering to, right? So there is something called microcast, which most of the publishers use as delivering news for about 3 to 5 minutes. It's pure play monologue, so you have no emotion. It's pure play content in terms of delivering straightforward news. That is always 3 to 5. Then you have your regular podcast that you want to use in terms of for brands is always about average about 26 minutes. Now, 26 minutes also arrives from the fact that the in India is because of the distance in consumption pattern on all of that. Also, there's something called deep dive. Deep dive can go all the way up to 1 hour, right? So there is no real thing of saying if the content and conversation is engaging, people would want to listen to you. If it's boring, they will drop out. So deep dive is a very interesting concept, but unless you have in certain sectors, right, in certain sectors like pharmaceutical and all this, they love content which is more engaging, and you have a special niche who wants to listen to that kind of content, right? So that's there. So entertainment, again, do an average of 15 minutes, and we say break it up into multiples, so you have a 100% completion rate on your content that's consumed, right? So there's not really a exact platform that we say, but you need to identify your objective, your audience, and based on that we help them devise a strategy on what kind of content that you should do and how many minutes that should be.
Understood. We actually have a question before I go into my next. How would you rate audio, digital, traditional, and print marketing, and how audio marketing is different from any other marketing channel? Rishabh is asking us.
Hi Rishabh, how do you rate audio, digital, traditional, and print marketing? See, right now the game is all about being omni-channel, right? It's about being everywhere. Right now, when you look at content, years ago when you got into social media, you can't compare. I mean, you need to be everywhere because the audience consumes content in different platforms at different ways. Audio is a non-intrusive medium, right? Audio is a completely non-intrusive medium, and it's a theater of mind. So the whole idea is. Theater of mind cannot really work on music songs, but in terms of content it does really work, right? So you need to look at content, creating content standalone in the audio space. So you have a social media page, you have a Facebook, you have everything, LinkedIn page. Then it's also important that you have a podcast page where people consume your content. So it is not really thing, but it's thing, and also everything is connected to each other. So we always say it's an omni-channel distribution channel. You need to look at it as a distribution platform.
Sorry, yeah, understood. Thank you. What are the opportunities with this medium? Could be not just podcasts, with audio marketing as a whole.
See, there are lots of opportunities to begin with, right? In terms of first is the content, right? The point is building a content repository, right? Because you're looking at a targeted niche. Like most of the time, the content that you create, right? If you use any medium, that you are doing a more of a generic content. But here, you know that a particular TG is coming to listen to a particular kind of content. So it's very, very targeted niche. So building a content piece, it's in itself as a targeted niche, is an investment that you're doing. Also, it's a meaningful community building because a lot of kids consume a lot of content here because it's non-intrusive. You can listen to it when you want. You're driving, you're walking, you're cycling. So and music is there, but more meaningful content happens in the space, right? Certain things. And what was the other option? Video was always an option, but it needs time. Here you don't have that option. You can sit, walk wherever and listen. So you build a content, and you also build a meaningful community in that space because one listens to it and then it grows into the whole community. Like I said, it's also part of your omni-channel distribution platform. So you have to have audio. That's one big opportunity that you have. You build in a content repository. Now, it's always been a video converted into audio. Like this particular video can be converted into audio and put into podcast. At the same time, you can convert your audio content and made into video and then put onto a video platform and distribute it there, right? So that's also another way of looking at it, because you're not going to get everybody to be in front of the screen all the time. So that in terms of building content repository, the audio first approach is another thing. More than anything, radio cost is cost effective. Audio is super cost effective. 1/10 of the cost. Why to wish out on it? And if you look at, are you future ready? Because now we are talking about audios and we know Web3 and NFTs, all of that coming in. It's always a space of something. So the more you create content and you plan, right, and you build a repository, it's only going to pay off in the long run, and you're available everywhere. And then you can, and if you look at the whole thing that's happening, even if Google has got into podcast, and there's reach coming from there. So when you search, it's not only video that's throwing up, it's also now throwing up podcasts. So that's a very interesting space. So when you're searching, it used to be search and then video content. Now it's audio content. So if you're there, it's throwing up there, and people consume it there if they want to listen to audio. Very simple.
Absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. Uh, what about video podcasts, right? You did mention video podcasts. So, what about them? Like, how does one go about with them? Doesn't it actually sort of clash with the whole purpose that we decided podcast would be just audio, and now if we bring video into the mix, what does it change?
See, what we always say is we are a audio first approach, right, for videos. So in today's day and age, you don't need a fancy camera to record everything, right? So that's to begin with. Now, since when you're doing podcasts, the only reason why everybody's made it, because discoverability is still not available on podcast, but it's available on YouTube. So you create that content and then you put it out there. And if you're approaching this whole content, so imagine if this particular conversation is supposed to be in a studio, it's going to cost time, money, it's a lot. But with remote, it's very simple. So when we say when you're doing audio podcast, why only be on audio? Because, like, again, be future ready. There are video podcasts available in the global market. So Joe Rogan is doing it. So it's all available. It's a matter of time. Tomorrow you can switch your audio into video, and then you can't say, oh my god, all that I should have done is record this whole thing in video through a webcam or on a phone, and then you're like, why waste it? So we always say audio first approach. Don't look at like a video, because I see a lot of video podcasts produced like a video interview, and then it's a lot of money. It doesn't make sense. Be cost effective, because now you can even do remote recording at 4K video quality, at 320 audio. It's changed, right? So you don't have to really worry about, oh, will the call people consume call audio and video. So don't let go of it. You have a wider audience, right? So we are again talking about omni-channel. You have wider audience. Why just limit it to audio podcast? Put on video also. It's future ready. Discoverability is available on other platforms, right? Omni-channel distribution, and again, high quality remote recording. I think don't lose out on it.
Just a thought, wouldn't it become like a YouTube video also if I thought of it? Would that sort of split the whole understanding between videos and podcasts? Then would that be a problem? This is just my thought right now as I was listening to your answer.
Got it. So now let's look at the other approach, right? When we usually do a video, okay, and then convert that into audio, sometimes it doesn't make sense to you, because you have a context to video there. When you're always doing an audio first approach, you're not missing out on the essence of the product. It's the same. But if you're doing a video and say, oh, did you see this? And if I'm listening to it, I really can't make out of it, because you were seeing something there, or you're showing certain graph there, or showing some reference there. Here, that's not happening. Here, being you're doing it as audio first, right? So you will always save that space.
Understood. So yes, what is sonic branding, and is it really necessary? We keep hearing a lot, I think, about when we think about podcasts, we keep hearing sonic branding. So what is that, and why is it really necessary?
So sonic branding is it's something that we evangelize, and we say, because once upon a time, you used to make a visual logo for a brand, right? And then over years you've seen a Sonic ID come with Britannia and Intel, and all of them have started doing it. And then more of it, we have fashion statements saying, okay, we have a Sonic ID, but today it's more of a necessity, because your content is being consumed on smart speakers or in-app notification. So when your car is outside, there is a tone. When your payment is done, there is a tone. So everything is now associated with a Sonic branding, right? So we say, if you have a visual logo, it's time that you got a Sonic logo for your brand, because that's what is going to be relevant, because now everything is on sound, right? So if I am listening to a podcast and I don't really know which podcast is, but with that sound, you exactly know. And I'm not definitely not talking about jingles and long songs, none of those. It's short, I like Netflix, ta-dum, and it's Netflix. So that is something that is very, very important in the branding space when it comes to sonic branding. Be it podcast, and tomorrow you use the same sonic branding in omni-channel distribution. Tomorrow you do an ad, you put that there. You do a radio ad, you put that there. So it's very, very important. Every brand has a sonic branding.
Absolutely. Um, What is the future of storytelling for brands and businesses, right? In content and technology. How does this all tie back together?
Uh, I mean, there are two ways to look at it. One is in terms of technology, and one is in terms of content. Content, we work with brands, we work with the workplaces, right? So we work with one of our clients, work with Posh Consulting, and they've always done, prevention of sexual harassment through case studies, and it's such a touchy subject, right? And it's simplified. With audio, we are not doing case studies and reading out this what this person did, but here we are doing a full immersive experience for brands, where the whole thing comes into a storytelling format, right? And it is completely immersive. So it's like watching a movie, how two colleagues had a certain problem and how it was sorted, right? And then you have a narration coming in how it was fixed. So people, I mean, reading is kind of going, but you're trying to get into an immersive experience. So that kind of a thing is very things that's coming out in terms of technology. I do see a lot of them saying podcast is very easy, turn on the mic and record, which is good. But as technology is going, we see a lot of immersive experience coming in terms of binaural sound, 360, NFTs, with audio NFTs, or all of that is a thing. So you need to be future ready. So when you record content, it also always has to be future. Maybe it serves purpose right now, but technology wise, it's gonna get to a lot. So whatever there is, so it is. So that's happening. And in terms of brands, it's just not about brands of a certain. It's not only for a publisher. I think every workplace, you need to ask: is everybody reading the mail sent by HR? Or can I? And I know most of the mails that you send, you can't even have a mechanism to have see what was the reach like. With audio, you exactly have a reach of who's consumed it, where have they consumed it, what's the content like. All of that is thing. So in a nutshell, every brand, immersive cooking is on something. You don't really have to sit and watch video, pause it, and then go cook. You just wear your headphones and get into immersive cooking. So a lot of things is going to become part of your life in terms of things. So that's where it's going to lead into. Language is a big space, right? Because how much of English content can happen? Because tier 2, tier 3 markets in local languages, your HR policies, your induction policy, everything can be in local languages. And that's something that we empower businesses with in terms of converting everything into audio. So everybody with a click of a button can listen to it on their way back home or to office or wherever they are. So it's non-intrusive. So I see a lot of opportunity coming into the space by using audio for marketing in real pure sense of using this for whatever thing. And it's beyond 30-second jingles or songs that's made for play out.
Absolutely. Rishabh asked another question. I think we spoke about tracking, so makes sense. How do you track reach or visibility in audio marketing? Do we have any tools for the same?
Yes, with us when so we are an end-to-end podcast production company. So we write from creation to we only work on enterprise partners, right? So be it our remote recording or even our distribution and real-time analytics. So we have real-time analytics. So every content that you publish, we will be able to give you real-time data of who has listened to it, on which platform, and not who technically, I mean which platform, and your completion rate, city, everything we can give. So it's easily trackable in terms of how your content is flaring.
Absolutely. Just wanted to know what should be one's focus while they are creating podcasts or any sort of audio marketing material?
I think invest in sound content. In as much as everybody says podcasts is all about just connecting a microphone, recording, and everybody to. And there are lots of free platforms to host a podcast. I say there's no free meal at all, right? It's about investing in. I think long term. You need to be future ready for content. So whatever in terms of creativity or in terms of technology, be future ready. Record it professionally. That's the first thing. Partner or collaborate with pure play production companies across the country. They're like creating some really good content pieces in local languages. So that is some, I always hear people say, what, great phone photography. And I keep saying, yeah, but you'll never use a phone photographer for your wedding, right? You still go to a professional photographer for your wedding. So that's exactly that we say in a podcast production company. Get that done. So that's something associate the podcast production company to do it. And content is content, right? While you build your repository of content, even if it's an audio space, make sure your content is secure. So just don't do it and publish it anywhere and then wonder where it is. Also, think future ready. Create it today. Think that, what, I'm going to build in, I have 100 pieces of content and it's going to be future ready. Think on that sense. We still in the early stages of audio. As we go, there's lots of opportunity in the space. So focus on building good content, and that's the in a nutshell. That's what I always suggest.
That is wonderful to hear. So, what is the difference between hosting your own podcast or working with a professional company, podcasting company?
Like I said, so one is with a lot of expertise, right, in terms of understanding creatively what works. You need to understand the objective. Not every podcast is the same podcast for everything. Every brand, every workplace needs a different kind of content. That's in terms of creativity, in terms of strategy, in terms of technology. You need to understand how I need to record these content. Would this make sense if I record it on a condenser phone or a microphone, or should I really partner with a podcast production company who can help you produce it in a much more thing, right? And for us, we keep saying, we tell brands, saying, I do understand the challenges that you all face. You say, hey, now it doesn't mean I'm going to set up a audio division and start making podcasts. You're saying, no, I say it's not worth it because I've been in certain organizations where I understand there's not so much of, you're a pure play. Let's say you're a tech company. What are you going to do with audio, and who's going to manage it and all of that? So look at for an extended audio partner like us, right? Where you outsource your whole thing to us and we take care of the entire thing. So you're not, so we never call ourselves a vendors. We always say we are content partners because we are technical content partners. We come and look at what you need, and we work that way, right? In that way, you also save cost. That is another thing of a professional podcast. You get great quality, you save cost, you have end-to-end services. So it's not that somebody's given you a product and say, okay, now figure it out where you want to go distribute it, right? So it's completely back end. You have access to it. Tomorrow you can come back and say, what do I do? This is what's coming up. What do I do? I have a town hall that's coming up. How can I use podcast for this? There's so many things that you can do, that can do. That's the beauty of working with a podcast production company. If you bring in the whole thing together.
Understood. So, other than podcasts, what are the other forms of audio marketing? What can be converted into an audio, right? What is currently maybe some other form of content right now? How do you convert that into an audio marketing piece? So, how does
Right.
that?
Right. So there are lots of ways of doing it. I mean, one is of course your studio recording, your home recording, your remote recording. Apart from that, you have see everything around your content, right? Let's say you have a town hall, right? What do you do with a town hall, right? I mean, I don't know how much you can put on video and say, hey, that town hall can go into your as a podcast, right? Your induction policies can be a podcast. Your rewards and recognition policy can be a podcast. It's everything, right? Everything that you want, your leadership, right? Your YouTube audio can be repurposed as podcast, right? Yeah, but there's a lot of work that's going to go in, but at least you have to think that has to be audio ready, and you have to change your strategy while you do it. That's something that you can do. I mean, you need to just figure out how can I, events especially, right? A lot of events that happen, and then you say, hey, the content, what did she say, what did he say? I wish I could have heard it. I have a video, but it was a podcast. Then you can just put it up, and it's all going into your backend repository, education content. So every platform, right? Medical, pharma, everything, every platform, a lot of content that is recorded, and it takes. You're just about building a repository. It all goes into the backend, and then it's all there. And then eventually, by the time you realize that you have a lot of content that you've built.
Absolutely. I think I have come to the end of my questions. Anything that you would like to sort of use as a closing point? I'm glad we kept it short because given audio marketing how it is, that's what we are always pushing for. So anything that you would like to give as a closing remark, maybe from the point of view of a brand to pick up their attract their consumers, right, or engage with their consumers. Any closing points there that you would like to give, Binoy? Please go ahead.
So I say with no matter what brand it is or workplace, or a publisher, I think you need to have a audio arm. Just like the way you have a social media arm, you need to have an audio arm. You need to create your audio content. You need audio create repository. Spooler is always there to help you design, create, uh, produce, publish, distribute, and monetize. So reach us. You can connect with us. It's connect@spooler.in, or it's Binoy@spooler.in. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to help you with any of your queries.
I think that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Binoy. This has been wonderful. We have not done a session in a while, and it's wonderful to have you, somebody who's done it, has been doing it before starting out as an entrepreneur and continuing to do audio marketing. Bringing you in as a speaker here has been wonderful. Like Binoy mentioned, you can reach out to him if you have any questions regarding audio marketing or just podcast in general. Please do feel free. If you have any more questions and you want to just put it in the comments below, please do that. We'll have Binoy answer these questions for you. So thank you once again. Please catch us in our next session. We have something coming up in November, but until then, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Diwali and wonderful and safe Diwali. Yes. So yeah, thank you so much.
Happy Diwali. Thank you so much.